I am Slick Nick, your personal certified Enneagram coach. You can easily buy this wonderful Enneagram book and guide by clicking that link on Amazon. I'll take you straight there. This book is the reason I figured out my Enneagram. So I fully endorse this. So, question for you, which you've probably wondered before. What Enneagram personality was Jesus? I mean, first thing that comes to mind, you might want to think, oh, he was a 2, helper. That makes a lot. He definitely helped people, for sure. But I think for me, what makes the most sense would be a number 9, the peacemaker. I mean, I feel like Jesus is the most famous peacemaker ever. That's what I would think. But what would be his wing? Would it be a 1, a perfectionist? You're like, oh, okay, well, if we're talking about the most perfect person who ever lived and the only perfect person, then naturally it's going to be Jesus. But as far as that being part of his personality, I would say that he actually was not interested in human perfectionism. You know, when you look at the culture of the Jewish faith, it was that people had turned a religion into certain things that weren't actually part of their faith. I mean, the way they got very technical about certain things, you can only walk a certain amount of steps on the Sabbath. When he healed the man who couldn't walk, he says, take up your mat. And he said that on the Sabbath, knowing that even carrying a mat was, breaking the perception of what was the law, even though that was not really what was meant by not working on the Sabbath, carrying your mat after you've been healed from not being able to walk after 38 years. So I feel that while he obviously was perfect, I don't think that perfectionism was his wing. I actually think 8 was his wing. I think the challenger. I think while Jesus absolutely was a helper and he absolutely was perfect, I think the challenger was a very important part of who Jesus was, and ultimately what led to his death, because he challenged a lot of people who did not agree with what he was trying to do, and that was basically reforming, and I know there's the one perfectionist again, but he was wanting to reform the tradition and instead help people realize that they could be redeemed. And so let's look at that 8. And the first thing, to me this is obvious, the first thing that comes to mind is when he turned over those tables in the temple. People were turning his father's house into a business market. And he was angry and he flipped over the tables. It doesn't say he got a whip and he's like, he turned into Indiana Jones. I mean, that's anger right there. Okay? So, and I would say also, Jesus was angry at the Jewish leaders who were basically preventing people from being able to be redeemed. And if they didn't act a certain religious way, then that bothered him, and therefore he actually ended up angering a lot of people. So, well, there's the challenger. That's what I see. But you know what? Yes, I'm a certified Enneagram coach, but that doesn't mean I'm right. I would love to hear what you have to say. If you think that Jesus was not an Enneagram 9, that you think he was not the peacemaker, and he did not have the 8 wing, which happens to be the wing that I have, if you think that's not what you see when you read through the 4 Gospels, hey, I am absolutely open to learning about this. I think it's very interesting. I personally think Jesus is the most famous peacemaker, and I think he had that challenger side to him. I think it definitely defined who he was. Granted, all of us are a little bit of all 9. But if I had to assign one to him, I'd say peacemaker and I'd say challenger. Go ahead. I would love to hear what you have to say. Your version of reality belongs right here.